Hello, my name is Raghav Khosla, and I'm a 15-year-old high school student living in Long Grove, Illinois, in the United States of America. As I'm guessing most of you must know, over the last few months, the world has essentially come to a standstill due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Almost everyone around the globe has been in some sort of lockdown or quarantine period that has really impacted the way they led their lives. Over the last few months, in our lockdown period, I undertook an initiative to really highlight the similarities and differences between different people around the globe when they're all stuck in the same situation. I interviewed 22 different people of different backgrounds, ages, genders, nationalities, in an effort to really understand how this pandemic impacted everyone in a similar way and how it really was unique for everyone else and what we can learn from this pandemic. Keep in mind, I had to focus on communication and connectivity during the COVID-19 pandemic in my interviews because I felt that those are two concepts that were deeply impacted during this time. So without further ado, let's get right into the first episode of COVID-19 Chats with Raghav Khosla. In today's episode, you will encounter 7 unique perspectives on this pandemic. This episode will include people of 4 different nationalities and ages ranging from 16 to 60. I had individual discussions with each of the 7, and our chats focused on connectivity and communication during this time. I have taken moments from each discussion that I felt were meaningful and worth sharing with you guys so you can learn something from this pandemic. So without further ado, let's get right into the interviews.
There's a lot of board game nights,
Mhm.
which has been fun,
Uh-huh.
especially since we've gotten bored of watching movies and just doing other virtual activities. So now we're just spending a lot more quality time together. It's definitely been an incredibly new experience and something that I don't think we'll experience again after this. But I think while it has been interesting, I would prefer normal school and the routine just because I think after a while, too much of this doesn't get enjoyable. I definitely believe so. I think right now, especially just talking to people is one of the ways to, to, to not feel isolated.
Mhm.
And I think whether that's through Zoom or whether that's just through text messages, I think just interacting with other people is important to me, and I think is important to staying well and sane during this time. I think one of the main things I've learned that's probably pretty common amongst other people as well is just adaptability.
Hmm.
Because I mean, when this situation first started, that was one period to change, and then new rules and new schedules, that was another time to change, and everything's just constantly evolving. And so I think one of the benefits that we'll all get after this quarantine social distancing ends is just the ability to be more adaptive and more flexible with issues and situations so that things will be easier.
Definitely. I think like our relationship took a real turn this period. I mean, the depth of our relationship is really felt. And now, out of all times, like a couple of days ago, my sister got admitted into med school. So now it's like this is the last time we have together, and after this, it's never going to be the same again.
Yeah.
So it really, like emotionally, like the attachment we've developed as a family now is greater than ever. I think the true friends that are out there are really going to stand out for me after this period. I mean, when I'm in school, it's a lot less freedom on who I want to talk to because I'm kind of forced to talk to certain people being in certain classes. But being at home, I have no sort of obligation towards anyone. It's like I can feel right now who I truly care about and who truly cares about me.
Hmm.
So the people that are really there for you are going to really stand out after this period. The importance of relationships. I think relationships are the most important part of life. I mean, making money, everyone can make money, but having really deep and really good relations are so important when you want to live a healthy and balanced lifestyle. I mean, like family, I think the importance of my family obviously grew a lot, but family, friends, like the ability to be able to socialize with other people really stands out now than ever.
Also, regarding the economic crisis, it's very difficult to go forward. I discuss regularly with my sister, who has also a problem in France with her own company, which was a successful company for 20 years. So now I would tell you, it's difficult, very difficult to say, I want to be there or I want to be there. It's very difficult. And a lot of friends of me are in the same status. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And, you know, in fact, at that time, you want to be with your family, close family, my sister especially, and with the closest friends. And so we stay in touch, especially one here who lived in Cambodia, but now she's in Bangkok, far from her husband, because of the rules. And so we need to be connected. Yes, Raghav. I think we can never know what will be the future. Never. You know, in few months, the life can change. And so, I think what is important is to focus on our values.
So, in talk about how I was connected with my friends,
Yeah.
we tried everything. Like we tried to be in touch. Honestly, like I got in touch with few of my friends who had become acquaintances, because in the sense that I haven't spoken to them in so long, and we just ended up, like, oh my God, are you fine? How's your family? So just like out of like courtesy and
Yeah.
like yeah, I hope everyone's fine. We started contacting everyone. So we used all kind of platforms, from WhatsApp, FaceTime, both audio, video, everything. Even with you, like we keep on changing. We downloaded House Party. House Party really kicked the game in India. Like, I mean, a lot of youth already had it. And I remember even I used House Party when I was in England during my university days. But suddenly, like House Party is more socially interactive because you have games and all those platforms. House Party, like everyone's on House Party. It's about shared experiences in the end. Like, for example, if you and I go out, have a coffee, like even though it's in the same city, I'm not talking about going to a different city. Even though if you're in the same city, we go out, have a coffee, like have a conversation in a different environment. It's about the experience more. When you are talking, like when we are conversing like this, so it becomes like, I don't know, like you're just exchanging information, but the experience isn't there. One thing that generally is going to stick with me is that introspection, like it actually gave me good enough time like personally for me, last few years were moving so fast, whether it's traveling, work, other kind of pressure, whatever. It actually gave me time, to think and reevaluate certain decisions that I had taken and how I can improve on things. So that time, like when the world stops for you, it's complete standstill. You're not worried, oh, my competitor's getting better. We're all in the same boat, right?
Yeah.
So that's the true moment that you can actually introspect. And that's something I will like to, like replicate in future. Give myself time,
Yeah.
reevaluate.
Yeah, so the thing is, in the beginning, we all had to do our own stuff. I had school, my sister was preparing for a medical exam, and my dad was working. So we all had like our zones. My dad had the living room, I had my room, and my sister had her room. So we kind of stayed there for the whole day. And then in the evening, we kind of met in the middle of the apartment, and then we like had dinner together and stuff. But once a week we went out of Zurich into like the mountains or something, because in Zurich there was not a lot to do as everything was closed in the beginning. So yeah, we went like for a hike or a picnic. So that was kind of it. Yeah. So what we used to do is with my school friends, we were connected through Teams anyway. So what we used to do is after like a class, maybe we knew we were all of us were online, so we just made like a separate group, and we had like video calls there, or Snapchat, just like normal social media as we know it. But now I guess like a bit more, because like before I wasn't that active on social media. I was active, but I didn't have a lot of time. But now I had a lot of time on my hands, so yeah. I think what's gonna stick is like disinfecting your hands all the time. And I kind of still get a little bit of anxiety when I go to take the bus, or if I'm in a crowded area. And even if like I walk past some people, I always like keep distance. And I think that's going to stick with us for a long time, because even like every touch I make, like if I open the door, I realize like I just touched the door. I didn't do that before, right? So I think that's gonna stick with me. And also like washing your hands, because I'm now used to it. Even like I realized that when I used to be like in buses or trams, you touch all of the poles and the seats, and it's very unhygienic. Even if there's no virus, you should always wash your hands after it, or disinfect your hands. So I think that's gonna stick with us.
What I do miss about work is actually connecting with colleagues. So typically, I do enjoy getting together with people over lunch, whether it's in the pantry or whether it's going out. That's something which I do miss, but I don't think that for the foreseeable future that's going to happen so soon. Well, I think something which I've been reading in the papers here in Singapore is that since the lockdown period, and even in Malaysia it seems, there has been a lot of domestic upheavals, violence even. And I'm like reading all this, and I'm like wondering to myself, what the hell's the matter with people? I said, you're married to this person. Why did you marry this person? You can't get along? How many other distractions have you had whereby you did not need to interact with this person on such a regular basis, whereby obviously you did not take notice of stuff? So I don't, that doesn't resonate with me. I don't understand, right? Why and what's happening. So I think that, my wife and I have always got along very well. I think that aside from, missing the office environment and the colleagues that we have, I think that we're actually quite happy sitting at home, having a bit more time to have breakfast together, and maybe have once in a while have lunch. Actually, to be honest, there are certain days when she does not see me at all. We don't see each other because she's in the next room, right next door. I'm here, and yeah, we don't talk to each other for maybe between 9 to 7 or something like that. It happens, right? But I think that I don't know. I guess we could say maybe we have grown closer, but we've always been close as as a as a family. But I think that this has helped us have a little bit more time together as well. Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the reasons why I enjoy going to work. I mean, for many years, um, well, yeah, for many years, I've had a certain few colleagues seated around me, and when people started to leave, and when I had to move my desk and away from some people, to be very frank and honest, I felt sad because, to be honest, some of these people I was seated right next to for 1 to 3 years even, became part of what I expected to see every day at work. And so that connection for me is strong and is really important. And when it's missing, I feel an emptiness. You treasure what you have, right? You treasure the time that you have with your family, with your friends, and opportunities to actually do good things, experience new experiences when that chance comes around. And if you can manage it, if you can afford it, should always be done. I think that we got to live in the moment a little bit more. That's something which I find very hard to do. I don't really live in the moment. I typically plan ahead, and I probably plan too much. But we got to live in the moment. And what I mean by that is that prior to this happening, fortunately, even though it came at quite a big cost, I traveled. I took my mom with me. It was expensive. Sometimes it was twice a year, and it was a bit more expensive than I expected it to be. But I said, I said, we don't know what's going to happen next. Life is short. So if I don't do this now, I might regret I didn't do it later, right? So I think that one thing for sure, we should treasure what we have.
Yeah, I think so. Because there's so much time on our hands. We talk about a lot of things, and I think it's just gotten. I think we've gotten to be able to talk about stuff that are deeper and more meaningful, rather than just surface level topics of how's your day and stuff like that. It's more of just deeper topics, which is I guess it's really important for me to be able to open up about how my opinions and stuff like that. So yeah, I just miss my teachers and being able to actually ask questions without having the whole class listening to me and stuff. And yeah, I think it's just a weird feeling. Even if we go to class, we don't talk. I know that in class you talk to your friends and stuff, but with online school you can't really do that. So I guess that's one of the bad things about it. Of course you'll go into breakout rooms, but you don't really it's not the same. People just keep their cameras off and their microphones on mute, so it's just not the same as physical. I think a lot of people will probably agree with me. I'm not sure, but I think that some of my relationships have gotten clearer on who actually wants to be friends with me and who doesn't, because I feel if you really want to connect to someone, you're gonna have to you find out a way to connect to them. You and I, we haven't seen each other in 3-4 years, but we still managed to find a way to connect to each other and still be able to talk to each other. So I feel now that this has happened, especially because I'm new, it makes it really clear on who really does care for me and who doesn't, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but but I think it's I think I've gotten closer to people who I really want to be closer to, and more distant to people who I don't necessarily have to be like really close friends with.
And with that, I would like to conclude the first episode of COVID-19 Chats with Raghav Khosla. I hope that through these 7 conversations, you were able to understand the pandemic in a unique way and can apply some of the participants' learnings in your own lives. If you enjoyed this episode, please show your support by leaving a like down below, and also, it would be great if you could leave a comment stating what was your favorite moment from the episode, whether it was a story from a participant or a learning they had from this pandemic that applied to you. It would be great to know what resonated with you. Please be on the lookout for the second episode of COVID-19 Chats with Raghav Khosla really soon. Thanks for your time.